Hi, I'm Katie. Welcome to Yoga Awakening and welcome to your practice. So today I have for you a class for when you're feeling sort of blah. So feeling blah, maybe that means dull or heavy or lethargic or tired or just kind of unsure. So this practice is for you. I'm assuming that if you've clicked on this video, that's how you're feeling. And usually that's the hardest part, is deciding to do something in those moments where you're feeling heavy and like the energy is a little bit stagnant. So you've done the hardest part, coming to the mat and looking to invite a little bit of awareness into that experience. Maybe that means for the whole practice, just being present with that feeling. Maybe it will shift, maybe it won't, but at least getting present with what that experience feels like, instead of maybe pushing it to the side or deciding that that's who you are, is that feeling. But we will do our best to shift that energy a little bit, and we'll do that first through a little bit of pranayama to get the energy moving. Maybe there's kind of a feeling of stagnation there. And then I'll take us through a few poses that might not seem so yogic, and that's kind of the idea, something very simple and quick, but that will get you out of your head or of any idea of what a shape is supposed to look like. And then from there, we'll move into something maybe a little bit more familiar. We'll do a simple vinyasa where we're tapping into the breath. I'll suggest that you have 2 blocks with you. So these are mine. I have wooden ones. You could certainly use the nice kind of foam ones. I just have one of those. And I'll leave those off to the side. If you don't have them, that's always fine. It's actually, we're only going to use it right near the end for our final shape. So don't worry about it. Grab those if you have them. Pause the video if you need. And we'll get started. We'll start in a seat. If you'd like to have the hips propped up on something, now is the time to grab that. Come in to your seat. Go ahead and close the eyes. We'll come into our pranayama in just a moment. But first, I invite you to just start to become aware of the breath as it is. There's nothing fancy that you need to do here. Maybe the breath feels a little bit restricted or shallow, and that's fine. Maybe it feels a little bit fuller. Noticing whatever its qualities are, just feeling it moving the body. So maybe you feel a soft movement in the chest as you breathe, or the rib cage, or the belly. Maybe you can even sense it moving the shoulders. You could take an exhale to soften the shoulders. Feel your sitting bones grounding you. And we're going to come into one round of Kapalabhati. So this pranayama is really nice for stirring up a little bit of energy. And it's up to you how much energy you want to stir up. We'll take one round and I'll let you move at your own pace after I guide you through it. So know that you could always take quicker breaths or slower. So you don't need to find the most forceful version of this pranayama. And often this one can be really nice to think of more sort of like as a pumping sensation. And that idea has helped me to find a lot more ease in this pranayama, which I used to find a little bit more difficult. It felt maybe a little bit more forceful than it actually needed to feel. So I encourage you to think about that idea of pumping the stomach, almost like this wave that kind of washes in and then goes back out. So if you haven't done this breath before, I'll guide you through it. And if you're familiar, you could jump right in. So what we'll be doing is a forceful exhale, but again, it can be soft or a little bit more vigorous, out through the nose, and then the inhale will just come passively. But you do want to make sure that the inhale is happening. So again, maybe you choose not to exhale so rapidly. So I'll show you what those options look like. So you're breathing out through the nose, and think about that sound coming out through the nose and not so much in the throat. So that will sound and look like this, and it might be a little bit hard to see how my belly is moving, but I'm drawing the belly in as I exhale and then letting it inflate as it naturally does as I take that passive inhale. So inhale in through the nose, and you can just watch me for these first few rounds if it's unfamiliar, and then we'll get started. Exhale to begin. So hopefully you can hear a little bit of that noise that I'm making with the nose and not so much the throat, and maybe seeing the belly pumping a little bit as well. So that's sort of a medium pace. You could speed it up. If you're new to this, and even if you're not, I suggest maybe experimenting first with an even slower pace, something like this. So there are your options. We'll get started now. So give it a try. Inhale in through the nose, big breath. Exhale to begin. Keep going. I like to close my eyes. I find that really helpful so I can tune in to the feeling in the body, the sound in the nose. Leave enough time for the inhale to arrive fully. So not so fast that that gets lost and you run out of breath. So you should never run out of breath. Slow down if you feel like you are. You can always pause for a moment and return. A few more moments here. Keep going. And release. Big breath in and big breath out. Soften the shoulders, soften the knees and the thighs. Arrive here into this moment, feeling maybe that energy or heat that you've stirred up in the belly, maybe that's transferred into the rest of the body. Notice how you feel. We'll take this in to a twist, and we're going to move through this twist a little bit more dynamically than we might. So instead of just taking it over to our two sides, we're going to come over to our first side. So I'm not mirroring you. I'm twisting over to the right, left hand in front, right hand comes behind. I like to stay up on the fingers. And then to come over to the other side, I'm going to go ahead and lift the arms overhead and then send them into the twist. Right hand is in front now, left hand behind. And then again, lift up and twist, hands come down. So once you feel like you have that movement happening through the torso and especially through the rib cage, so think about the rib cage being what twists you side to side. We'll get started with a few rounds. So inhale to lift, and then the exhale will send you into the twist. So either side, inhale to lift, exhale to twist. And this will most likely not be your deepest twist. That's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for instead is just this feeling of movement. So don't get attached to how deep the twist is. You might even close the eyes if that's comfortable and feel in to the rib cage moving. All right, go ahead and even out your sides wherever you are. So that means I'll end over here on the right, and then hands come back to the knees or the tops of the thighs. Pause once again. So we're moving and then we're pausing to tune in to whatever sensation is arising. Maybe some energy, maybe some heat building. And then we'll take this through to all fours. All right, so find your way into your all fours, and here's where things get a little bit fun. So maybe this is something that you haven't done before. This was something that was also recently new to me. We'll take our all fours to the back of the mat. So just scooch yourself back. And I'm going to tuck my toes under for this move, and we're going to make our way up to the front of the mat, and then back, and then front, and then back. And to do that, we're going to add a little bit of challenge by lifting the knees, and then I'm going to send one knee forward, opposite hand forward. So a little bit of coordination, and hopefully this will get you right out of your head as you need to focus in on what you're doing. So right knee forward, and that means left hand forward. Left knee forward, right hand. Right and left. And then reverse, so think about what needs to move first. See if you can stay low, so it's probably easier to lift the hips up, right? A little bit less work for the thighs, a little bit less work for the core. But see if you can stay nice and low, starting to draw the low ribs together. All right, let's repeat. Let's do that twice more. See if you can make the movements soft as you plant the toes, as you plant the hands. Maybe you reverse which one comes back. And we'll pause in a seat whenever you're done with those 2 times up to the front of the mat. Feel the energy through the legs, through the torso. Deep breath in, side out as you exhale. Great. We'll come through to sit, and I'll bring the feet out in front of me, about hips distance apart. And we're coming into reverse tabletop. So get yourself set up, and the hands could point kind of any way you like, fingers out to the side. Maybe it's a little more comfortable for you. Maybe it feels fine for the wrists to point the fingers down towards the toes. And start to press down into the feet, into the hands. You can always adjust your distance as we lift up. Inhale, lift the hips, lift the chest. Maybe here's where you adjust your stance just ever so slightly. Imagine that you're pressing up through the sternum. Great, we're coming into our second little round of these kind of novel movements. So maybe something you haven't done before in yoga. I'll lower the hips as I bring the left knee down, left palm in line with the knee, right leg extends, supported side plank. Then I'm moving through my reverse table and taking this over to the second side. So you can envision that, right? Visualize it maybe before you do it. How are you going to get there? And the movements and the shapes don't need to be perfect. And in fact, it might be a little tricky to make them perfect, and that's what we're hoping for. So knee down, hand down, foot down. And then feet and hands down to lift the chest, lift the hips. Opposite knee down. All right, 2 more rounds. Feel the breath. Inhale, reverse table. Exhale, side plank. 1 more round. Hips up. Maybe you move a little bit quicker. Last side, over to the right. And release. Pause. Once again, in your seat. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Exhale through the mouth. Great. All right, we will come through back to our tabletop. From here, you have 2 options. You can send it right to down dog, or you might take a vinyasa. So just check in with your energy. What would feel nice? The vinyasa or right to down dog? We'll meet in our down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Pedal the legs one at a time. Roll through the feet almost like you are walking in your down dog. Let's arrive here with a moment of stillness. Bend the knees to start. So even if you can straighten, it might feel nice to bend gently, maybe a lot. Really send the chest back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. We'll lower the knees. Find your way back to your tabletop. On your breath in, send the right foot in between the hands. Breath out. Breath in takes you up, low crescent lunge. Anjaneyasana. Allow the shoulder blades here to move with the arms as you lift up. Imagine squeezing the 2 thighs in towards the midline. Maybe that really helps you to feel that engagement through the legs, hugging in. We're going to take some torso circles here, so you could certainly lower the arms, maybe hands to the hips, and start to circle. For a little more challenge, you could add the arms too. So you might notice that this kind of throws your center off balance, and that's the idea. So get really connected in towards the body. Reverse your circle if you haven't already. Notice, what do you need to engage as you start to bring the torso away from the midline and create a little bit of instability? And make your way back through center. Inhale. Exhale. Plant the hands. I'll press into the left hand to lift the back knee and send the right arm up and overhead. Our next flow here, big inhale, bend the elbow, send that arm a little further back behind you, cactus arm in the right arm. Strong through the legs, press up with the left knee. Great, watch me here. Exhale, I'm gonna straighten through the right leg any amount. So I certainly don't need to have my right leg totally straight, maybe I keep a bend. Send your right fingertips out towards the front of the room. We're moving through that flow. Inhale, cactus. Exhale, straighten a little bit. Right arm forwards. Inhale, cactus. What do you need to ground down through? Really bring your awareness to that right foot. One more. And then palms come to the mat, step it back, tabletop. We'll take that over to our second side. Left foot forwards, setting up for your low crescent lunge. As you're ready, arms lift up. Torso circles, arms reaching, coming around with you. Or I also like the hands on the hips. Maybe feeling a little bit of nice stretching and movement there through the spine. Back of the foot on the mat, or toes curled under. How can you just move the torso opposite direction? As slow or as quick as you like. Find the breath. Using the breath here will help you in the movement. And plant the hands. I'll press into the right hand to lift the back knee up. Open it up for a side twist. And then bend through cactus. So now that you know where we're going, start to move through your flow. Left leg comes a little closer to straight. Left arm, extend. Inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. So we're kind of in a variation of our pyramid pose here. Again, get really connected to that front foot, front hand. Definitely feeling the energy moving through the body now. I hope you're feeling a little bit warmer. Deep breath in, deep breath out. One more full round cactus. Extend, plant the hands, step it back, tabletop. Take a moment here if you like in a child's pose. If you're looking for a little more movement, you can move through vinyasa. We'll meet in downward facing dog. So if you're in your child's pose, start to make your way to Adho Mukha to join us. We'll move through what will hopefully feel like a little bit of a familiar flow. See if you can really tap into the breath. Let that be what moves you. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step it forwards. Set up the feet for reverse warrior. Big inhale sends you up. Grow long through the torso. Inhale. Exhale, straighten the front leg, shift it forwards. Triangle or Trikonasana. Connect to the sides of the body as you breathe. Stay here in triangle, or we'll look forwards, step forwards, and make our way into what I like to think of as a lifted half moon. So I like to bend the elbow so I'm not so focused on the arms here. Left hand to the hip or extended. Find that really strong line through the left side of the body, left hip working hard. Or you're staying in your triangle. Start to bend through the right knee. Step it back as light as you can. We'll meet up in triangle and then shift it forwards. Turn all the toes forwards. Forward fold. Prasarita Padottanasana. This doesn't need to be your deepest forward fold. Instead, focusing on the engagement up through the feet, into the legs. And then take a moment to release the whole weight of the head and the neck. Maybe even the shoulders feel like they release. Notice what happens when you bring your body into this shape where the head is heavy, turning our perspective sort of literally upside down. Let yourself sink into whatever this experience is for you. One more round of breath. And we'll start to make our way up. Let's come out slowly. We were there for a moment, so hands come to the mat. Open the eyes if they were closed. We're going to make our way towards the back of the mat. So coming back through a reverse warrior. So first, make your way there. That's your low lunge. And then plant your back foot. Open it up. Reach back. Inhale. Exhale for triangle. Stay in your triangle or start to look towards the top of your mat. Step your back foot up halfway. Maybe you take it into your half moon variation. Right hand on the hip or along the length of the right side body. Feel the right hip really turn on. Notice how if you turn the torso a little further towards the side, you need to work a little harder. Inhale, we'll meet back in our triangle. Start to bend through the left knee. Make your way one more time through your forward fold. We'll just be here for one round of breath. Maybe you stay up a little higher. Let's shift it forwards towards the front of the mat. All right, one more little movement to wake up a little extra energy if you're still not quite feeling that shift. I'm in high lunge here down through the feet, and then as I'm ready, I add the arms. So our high crescent lunge, we're adding on our torso circles from here. So a little more challenge now because our back knee is lifted. We have a little less stability. You could, of course, always lower down and repeat the low lunge torso circles. So notice where the gaze needs to be. I like to keep pretty focused gaze as I move. Take it in the other direction. Right thigh working hard. Back through center. Press through the right foot. Lift up. Great, release, we'll meet in down dog, get there any way you like. Maybe you take your final vinyasa. And we'll step the left foot forward. So high lunge, preparing there in the feet. Finding that grounding. When you're ready, lift it up. All right, torso circles, second side. Oh yeah, balance is tricky here. Really pressing through all the corners, all the edges of the front foot. Reverse your circle. Bigger circles for more challenge, smaller circles for a little less. Stick with it. And plant the hands, step it back, tabletop. Let's start to cool down. So we have a few moments here as we come towards the end of the practice to start to take hopefully this energy that we've cultivated and bring it into center. So find ourselves here in the present moment. Great, from tabletop, right knee will come up towards the right wrist, and then you might walk the left knee back a little bit, left hip. We're coming into pigeon pose or Kapotasana. And again, this doesn't need to be your deepest pigeon with your front shin parallel to the top of the mat. You might bring it back in a little bit. You could always take figure four in the back if this pose doesn't feel quite right in your body for your hips or knees. Inhale. Exhale. We'll come to lower down into our sleeping pigeon. So you could certainly grab one of your blocks here if you've got those and bring it there for under the forehead. Start to gather your energy in. Feel your breath. Maybe as it starts to shift, become a little slower. Feel your heartbeat. Mine is certainly beating quickly as I've stirred up all of that energy. Feel that in your body. Make your way up, press down into the hands, curl the back toes under. We'll send it back to our tabletop. And then repeat on the other side, or if you're doing your figure four on your back, you can take it over a second side, ankle crossing. We'll pause there again, upright. And then lowering down, come into your sleeping pigeon. Notice your breath now. Notice your heart beating. And ask, how do I feel? Perhaps now you can start to reconnect with that space underlying even this experience of the heart beating quickly, the energy moving, maybe hopefully feeling a little better in the body and in the energy. And hopefully that will allow you to connect to that space within. That you that does not change, that is not even this experience, but deeper still, experiencing this experience. Just as it experienced the experience before this, maybe when you stepped onto your mat and chose this video. Was that experience a very different experience from this one? And who was experiencing it? Start to make your way up. And we'll transition this time by sending the weight onto the left hip, coming around into a seat. And we'll set up here for our final pose, and I'm gonna grab my blocks now. I actually like these foam ones a little bit better for this shape, but you can use whatever you have. When I use the wooden ones, I often put a little towel on top of them just to make them a little bit softer. But I'll do something like this today. So we're bringing them into this shape. I've got one block on its highest height, and then what would be one block like this on its middle height. And I'm just going to stack up 2, and you could certainly do that as well, just so I have a nicer surface there. If you don't have the blocks, you could go ahead and roll up like a bath towel and bring that into a log that you'll lay long ways on the mat, so long ways towards the short end of the mat, and then you can lie down on that, right, sort of sneaking it up into the middle back, and you'll still get a really nice opening there for the chest. And then otherwise we're coming into a supported fish here with the blocks. You could absolutely lay a pillow over this setup for something maybe a little bit softer. If you have a bolster, that's great. And I'm just going to come onto the blocks, and we'll be here briefly. So you might need to play around a little bit with the distance of the blocks from each other. I like to bring the middle back there onto the lower blocks first, and then use my hands to adjust the upper block so that it's really supporting the back of my head so my neck feels supported. Arms just a little ways away from the sides of the body. Feel the legs get heavy. Feel the back of the head drop down into whatever prop is underneath it. Your choice, palms face up or palms face down. Soften the jaw. One more time, feel the breath moving the body. Just like we did right at the beginning of the practice, without needing to make it deeper. Feel this life in your body, this life in your being. Let's gently make our way out of the shape by rolling to one side. Use your hand to support. And you could certainly take a few moments here in a shavasana, or maybe a seat for a couple minutes of quiet or meditation. Let's draw the hands to heart center. Bow the head to the heart. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.